All right, good morning. If someone could in the chat box, just make sure that they can hear me and that they can see the PowerPoint also. Morning, hi Rick, thank you. Loud and clear, good deal. All right, I generally give it about another minute or so before I really get started. Thank you, Barry. All right, just a little bit more here and I'll go ahead and get started. All right, morning everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Amanda. I actually oversee our payroll HCM department. Just one quick just tidbit. I am going to try to get through everything. Feel free just to drop in questions in the chat box. I will just probably wait and hold any of those until the end just so I can get all the way through the presentation. It should only be 30 minutes just because I know we're all busy. We need to also accomplish other things. So welcome. In the past, we generally have just sent out a very wordy document letting our clients know about year-end, things that we're looking for, what they need to send over to us, you know, really how to prepare for year-end. So this year, I got the idea to try to do something more web-based and with a PowerPoint. And also, I'll talk about our actual year-end checklist that you all should have already received via email, okay? So again, if you've got questions, drop them in the chat box and I will come back to them whenever I get done. All right, well, I'm sure like many of you, where has this year gone, even with the pandemic that we have had? But I'm definitely looking forward to 2021, but we still got to wrap up 2020. So today I will be talking about the items listed here on the agenda. So I'm going to be talking about processing deadlines, especially year-end deadlines, talk about just some year-end checklist items that you should be working on yourself. I'll go over our holiday schedule, our year-end maintenance items, different tax documentation that you may receive. I'll talk about year-end payrolls and types of adjustments that we typically make for our clients. I'll talk about W-2s and 1099s that we prepare. I also have a slide that has our fees listed on it. I'll mention some additional resources and then also make sure that you all have received our year-end questionnaire, okay? All right, so first up, client processing deadlines. So we have standard deadlines that everyone is, of course, pretty much familiar with, but I really want to hit hard on our year-end deadlines. So currently, you know, our standard deadlines. We generally, want 2 banking days in advance of the check date to allow sufficient time for payroll funding and employee direct deposits to be received and posted by the check date. We generally do not bend on those rules unless it's some specific scenario or your pay period doesn't end enough time prior to your pay date. However, as we do approach end of year, we do tend to see clients who will have additional payrolls or maybe bonuses added on a current payroll. So there is a chance that your payroll may have tax liability, federal tax liability over 100,000, and then that tax deposit is due next day. So we generally, will have those, premeditated conversations with clients. You already probably are going to know because you're budgeting for that anyway, and making sure that we are aware as well. So if we need to have you wire funds to us. All right, so year-end deadlines, any 2020 payrolls and adjustments must be completed before, of course, we run any live payrolls for 2021. So process these early and definitely do not wait for January. And unfortunately, I do have to say this because we always have the stragglers that come in. All right, then secondly, bonuses and extra payrolls. If you are paying bonuses or have any extra payrolls that need to be included on your W-2, definitely we want to know that information as soon as possible. And we've really been just setting a deadline. Let us know by December 4th if you will be having these items. This is also listed on the year-end survey that everyone has received. I definitely would check your spam or clutter box because it may have gone to that. And payroll adjustments, so more than just year-end additions, but voided checks. Have you written a check on site? Have we not been informed of it? We want to make sure that all of that stuff gets recorded before the last payroll of 2020. If you've written a check on site and forgot to tell us, we want to record that timely because, there may be, for example, a tax deposit associated to it. So we want to make sure that we get that payment made timely as well. All right, so year-end adjustment cutoff dates. So for adjustments processed after December 31st, please remember that tax agencies may consider tax payments late, and you will be responsible for penalties and interest that an agency may assess. So payroll adjustments must be processed by 5 p.m. January 4th. Any adjustments after made January 5th more than likely will result in a W-2 because we have a very strict deadline and timeline already established that we've worked through of what we need to focus on to stay on task during the month of January. We definitely do plan to start printing W-2s January 2nd because we've got thousands of W-2s to print, package, and start getting that sent out in the mail. Also, just so that you are aware, if we have either some sort of adjustment or something that you turn in late, then things are going to be dated the last day of the year, which would be December 31st. And if there are federal taxes associated to that adjustment or addition, the last day to make federal tax deposits timely is Wednesday, January 6th. So again, this is why it's really important to turn things in timely, get that information over to us so we can make sure that your tax deposits are sent timely as well. So you'll hear me talk a lot about getting things turned into us early as soon as possible so that we can have a smooth year-end processing. So that also goes along with Fringe Benefits. So by looking at your upcoming payroll schedules, when you will have payrolls, I always encourage clients to, again, turn that stuff into as soon as possible, because I like to add those to a payroll run, like current payroll run, before the end of the year, because then those types of benefits, again, depending on which ones that you may have, they may have some tax deposits that's due with it too. So we want to enter those at the same time as payroll, because then the system, our software, will collect for those taxes at the same time. I'm sure if anyone can probably agree with me on this what I'm about to say, but anytime you do anything manual or anything outside a system or a software, then there's always going to be manual steps. So we like to do these adjustments and add them when we can still associate it to a payroll run. All right, so payrolls processed in 2020 that have a pay date. Oh, excuse me here. Can't see my screen here for a moment. There we go. All right, so that have a pay date of 2021 will show up as wages on the 2021 W-2. This always is, this always comes up. This always comes up with questions with clients. So hopefully everyone can take note of that. Also, that the way that the January 1st falls is on a Friday. And we have many clients who have Friday pay dates. So again, take a look at your schedule. Be aware if it's going to land on the actual first. My question for you to ask yourself is then, are you going to have that dated in 2020, such as 12/31? Then those wages then will report on the 2020 W-2, or do you need to move your pay date forward to such as Monday, January 4th? Then those wages then will show up on the 2021 W-2. January 1st is, of course, a non-banking day, so we cannot date things for a non-banking day. And really then that next week, starting January 5th through the end of the month, is really kind of a blackout period where we want to focus on getting things reported, printed, W-2s printed, packaged, and sent out. So please make sure that you're turning in your information or year-end adjustments well before we start this process. All right, so some checklist items to really write down and review on your end. So process deadlines and identify your last payrolls of 2020. I've already mentioned this a little bit, but again, look at your upcoming payroll schedules. What are your upcoming pay dates as we get into the holiday season and when we approach year end? So again, so Christmas is on Friday, and of course, January 1st is on a Friday. So pay attention to those dates. You know, if you got questions, contact your account manager. I'll go over our holiday schedule and what the Federal Reserve also follow for holiday schedules too. All right, so perform an audit of employee data, so such as social security numbers, name, mailing address, so review that information. Clients who are on our Apex platform, you should already be receiving in your report package a W-2 preview detail, and on the top it's going to have on for each employee, you know, it's going to have their name, social security number, mailing address. Please pay attention to this report in your report package so that you can let us know if there's any changes that need to be made by December 4th. And if you are on our iSolve platform, there are reports already posting in your report archive for a W-2 preview to make sure, again, all that information is accurate. So 1099s, we also provide the service of printing those returns and then uploading that information as well. So again, the year-end questionnaire asks you if you're going to have 1099 printing, and make sure that you complete that questionnaire. Like I've mentioned before, that has already been sent out to everyone I'll make sure that we do send that out again, probably a few more times. It does go to your, there's a good chance it could go to your spam email as well. So the year-end questionnaire, please return that to us. Also, again, by December 4th. I'm sure you have all been hearing me say December 4th. We're really trying to stick to an earlier deadline this year so that we can get started even more quickly. Again, we continue to grow and add customers, and that does grow the volume of work that we need to complete for January. So if you're going to have group term life, personal use of company car, third-party sick pay, S-Corp health insurance, things like that, make sure that you are letting us know that you will have that and that you're getting that information over to us. All right, so third-party sick pay information, should be processed by December 31st. And if you don't think you're going to have that information before then, get with your provider, because if there's taxes owed on it, again, you could possibly have a late tax deposit. And of course, if we've already started printing or submitting returns, we would have to possibly then amend those returns. We definitely would charge for our time for that. So definitely reach out to your third-party sick pay providers to make sure that they are sending you that information before then. Identify and process any of your end-of-year payrolls that will include bonuses and fringe benefits, which I've already talked about a little bit already, that you are wanting to have applied for 2020. I also mentioned this earlier too, but if you have additional manual checks or voided checks that need to be recorded, please get this to us by December 18th. And I say December 18th because that's really the middle of the month. And depending on your payroll frequency, hopefully after December 18th, you're probably only going to have one more payroll. So we want to attach that adjustment or record to a regular payroll run. So again, if this has come up or you have this scenario, please contact your account manager to ensure that that information is being processed prior to us printing W-2s. And if you've got any questions or concerns or need to go over anything specific, just reach out to your account manager, and they'll be more than happy to answer your questions. All right, so holiday schedule. So Federal Reserve, when they're closed, no direct deposit or tax payments can be sent, or nor can funds be settled on those dates. So we've got Christmas, or excuse me, I'm skipping Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is on Thursday, November 26th. Christmas Day is Friday, December 25th. And of course, then New Year's being also New Year's Day on a Friday too. So if with your payroll schedule and your pay dates happen to land on those dates, your dates would have to be moved because they cannot settle on those dates. So like I mentioned with especially that Friday, January 1st, keep in mind where do you want those wages to fall? If you are fine with them falling on December 31st, keep in mind, then that will be reported on the 2020 W-2, or if you are going to move the pay date forward, such as January 4th, then those wages would post on the 2021 W-2. And we also have been doing yearly calendars, higher level calendars. So again, we'll be doing those this year, and we always stick those in our W-2 packages. So you would be getting those then for the calendar year of 2021. It will include, our holidays when we will be closed, and then what the Federal Reserve holidays are as well. So the days that we are anticipating that we will be closed for, of course, Thanksgiving Day, Black Friday, Christmas Day, and New Year's Day, the most recent ones. All right, so I'm going to move on to just some maintenance items as well next. All right, so the audit portion. So W-2 information must be correct, of course, to send to the IRS, and we strongly encourage you to start auditing that information now. You know, do it before it's holiday season, right? Not sure how busy it will be this year with the COVID pandemic, but if you're still going to be out traveling, enjoying family time, you know, get this done before you start enjoying family time. So you're going to want to verify Social Security numbers, name, and address for each employee. The name must be exactly as it appears on the employee's Social Security card. So I always like to tell clients as well, you know, just if you have an employee who, let's say they got married and they come to you and say, hey, I want to change my name, make sure that they also provide you with a Social Security card showing that change on it. Because if you just take their word for it, that will error out when we go to upload your file to the SSA. So the account managers are pretty well conditioned to not accept a name change from you unless you provide a Social Security card. Now, but if you are an end user to the system and you make that update, of course, we wouldn't know, but strongly encourage you to make sure that they've provided you with that Social Security card as an example. All right, I've already mentioned this, but if you receive your reports via email through our Apex platform, you're going to look for a report called the W-2 Detail Review in your report package. This has been already added to the report packages, and you'll continue to see that in your report package through the end of the year. And if you are on our iSolve platform, you will look for a report called Employee W-2 Verification. That again will provide you with a nice report for you to review to make sure all that information is accurate. So don't wait, go ahead, get that done. You know, again, we've been really just trying to stick to this December 4th deadline just so that things are getting done timely. All right, so another suggestion, send a reminder to your employees regarding submitting a new W-4 for 2021. Employees who are currently claiming exempt from withholding must submit a new W-4 by February 15th to maintain that status. Employers are required to begin withholding federal tax for those employees who fail to provide a new W-4 by that date. Okay. Also, you know, if you have any employees who experienced a life event or change, they should also submit a new W-4. All right, so the employer portion of healthcare from ACA that provides that employers must report the cost of employer provided health care coverage on Form W-2. So reporting is mandatory for employers that file 250 or more W-2s. The amount reported should include both the portion paid by the employer and the portion paid by the employee. So if this does pertain to you, make sure that you discuss that with your account manager so that it is added on the W-2. Now, on the reports that I spoke about on the previous slide, it is going to show you basically W-2 fields and what those amounts should be. So take a look at that to make sure that when you're previewing the W-2s that the amounts are showing up in box 12D. All right, FUTA credit reduction. I always try to mention this. This doesn't really happen to, of course, all clients in all the states that we do business in, but some states take a federal unemployment loan if they lack the funds to pay out their unemployment benefits for state residents. And if a state has outstanding loans with the federal government, the FUTA credit rate for employers in that state will be reduced until the loan is repaid. So the result of being an employer in a credit reduction state is a higher tax due on your Form 940, which is filed annually, that we'll be doing at the end of the year. This higher tax is considered incurred in the fourth quarter. So your company will owe possibly additional federal unemployment taxes that will need to be that we would need to collect for. I've not heard of any specific states that has not paid back their loans, but if that were to be the case, we would definitely be notified. in our software, we would make those adjustments as well. So the actual rate for federal unemployment is 6%. And as an employer, you pay on up to $7,000 worth of taxable wages. So if you, of course, are in a state that has the credit reduction rate, the max that you receive is 5.4, making employers throughout the year, you have only been contributing 0.6% off of 7,000 wages. Okay, so that's $42. But in the event that the state does not pay back their loans, then you would be responsible for then the remaining 5.4%. All right, so the other thing that we start seeing, which I know we've already had clients already sending notifications over to us, so that's great. Thank you for those who have done so. But unemployment rates change for the new year, and maybe tax filing frequencies may be changing, and any of that notification is sent to your address on file with these taxing agencies. Higher level does not receive copies of these, so you do need to send that information over to your account manager, okay? Because if we do not receive that information, this could possibly cause late tax payments resulting in interest and penalty charges. So for example, if your federal or state tax filing frequency is changed and you don't notify us, we will not be responsible for any penalties or interest that may be charged. So if you see something you're not quite sure what it is, feel free to send that over to us. We can tell you if it's something that we need or we don't need. But generally we start seeing at the end of October, November, December, beginning of December, where IRS and state agencies would be sending out these notifications. All right, next up, I'm going to talk about, what we see at the end of the year for payrolls, adjustments, things like that. And remember, last day to report adjustments is January 4th. Anything after January 5th will become a W-2C. We are, like I said, we're on a mission. We have a very tight schedule that we need to stick to and follow for January so that we can get everything reported and filed on time. All right, first up, bonus payrolls. So we will make personal phone calls if the amount is even over $1,000. We've had some situations in the past where clients' emails have been hacked, and that hacker, right, starts seeing the email activity. And if they see something related to payroll and conversations with your account manager, they can, ghost the email, act on their behalf, say, hey, I need this additional bonus payroll, or this need to be paid out. It needs to go to this bank account. So we definitely have made it a very standard procedure where if we've got amounts that we want to question, but definitely this time of year, everyone on the team has been trained to pick up the phone and call to confirm these dollar amounts with you, just to be on the safe side. Payroll fraud is a scary thing, and it definitely can happen. So this time of year, we start seeing an increased amount of just spam email, even to us, just asking on the behalf of our owner, even too, hey, I need this change, or I need this bonus payroll ran. Clearly, we know that that is not an action item that we need to take, but we do start to see, this increase. Hackers are just attempting to take advantage of people during this time. So be vigilant, question everything. If you weren't anticipating or expecting that sort of message, it's probably spam. All right, so if you are paying bonuses, please notify us by December 4th. There are different options when running bonus payrolls. So things to keep in mind is, are you going to write them on site? So, we need a block direct deposit, maybe ship those checks to you. Are you blocking deductions? Are you wanting to use some supplemental tax rates? do you want us to gross it up? So saying, I want to give someone a $500 bonus, and that's what I want them to receive. We then can gross it up to make sure taxes come out to equate then to a net check of $500. All right, so Fringe Benefits, we'll start seeing many of these start coming in from our clients. So if you do need to report Fringe Benefits, again, let us know by December 4th on our year-end questionnaire. Now, of course, we've been doing this for a while and have had clients with us for quite some time. So we kind of already have a list of who typically has, year-end additions. But if it's something new for you or you're a new customer to higher level as of this year, please make sure that we know that information, that you will be having some Fringe Benefits. So types of Fringe Benefits that I commonly will be seeing is, which I've mentioned them, but again, S-Corp health insurance, group term life, personal use of company car, third-party sick pay is really most of the common things that we do see. I mentioned it at the beginning of the presentation, but these adjustments, most of them will have tax withholding with them. So we want to enter them with a regular normal payroll run before the end of the year, because when we add it after the fact, right, again, we got to make sure that we make a manual tax deposit, which we want to make sure that we do timely for you. And with the hustle and bustle of the end of the year, we do not want to forget to make that tax deposit at all. So when Fringe Benefits can be added with a regular payroll run, it makes everyone's life much easier. And again, manual, and if you've got any checks that need to be voided, if you've got that information, please send to your account manager, because we want to have that added or recorded before we start processing any 2021 payrolls. So third-party sick pay, again, you should receive that information from your vendor. So reach out to them, say, hey, I'm needing this information. Notify us by December 4th if you won't receive that information. We will be beginning to print W-2s. Like I mentioned, I would like to start by January 2nd, but we will see. But if we hold off, the latest, but we would definitely start printing by January 4th W-2s. So again, contact your provider, your third-party provider. They should be able to get you that summary, a benefit report to you, so that you could send over to us so that we know what we need to add to W-2s. All right, on to W-2 and 1099 printing. Okay, so with the understanding that all year-end processing deadlines have been met and you've reported all information, W-2s will begin to be shipped out by January 15th. That's always our goal that we like to set. Hopefully we can begin a little bit easier. So just a little bit of inside information for you all listening today. The goal is to really start printing W-2s on January 2nd through then that all next week. And then we always work on Saturdays, evenings, all through the month of January. But January 9th will definitely be a heavy packaging day and get everything ready to be shipped out. So then that following week, I hope to have it staggered where we can even start shipping out. So if your company name starts from A to C, we'll start shipping that out on, let's say, the 11th or 12th, and do that out slowly versus sending a couple trucks of W-2s to the local FedEx or UPS store. But we will be printing and shipping all W-2 forms, like I've mentioned, FedEx and UPS. And if you have a PO box on file, we do use United States Postal Service for that. So if you, for example, have had a change in your address or it needs to be shipped somewhere else, please just contact your account manager and just ask, hey, what do you have on file to where my W-2s will be shipped? All right, something new that has changed this year. Most commonly, the form is known as the 1099 MISC to report non-employee compensation. But beginning of this year, the IRS, they changed that form and they created a form that they're calling now the 1099 NEC. So employers will no longer report non-employee compensation, such as to independent contractors, on Form 1099 MISC. The redesign is a little bit more, it looks basically very similar to the 1099 MISC, but we will only be producing the 1099 NEC forms for that. So common examples, again, of non-employee compensation would be payments to independent contractors, maybe fees paid to professional services, such as maybe your accountant or attorney, maybe commissions paid to non-employee salespeople, as an example. So again, Form 1099 NEC will be the only type that we can file for you. All right. I'll mention just briefly about, of course, FFCRA tax credits, and just again a highlight of that. The code, the act that was put in place requires employers to provide full-time employees with 80 hours of certain emergency paid sick leave related to the coronavirus. And this sick leave could be used in any of the following circumstances. Of course, employees subject to federal, state, or local quarantine or isolation. So if you've got, again, those out sick with COVID, or they've taken care of people, we've had several clients turn in COVID wages basically, and then we're reporting that. So when this happens, employer-related credits, which are refundable, would be applied against the employer portion of Social Security taxes. And the tax credits would apply with respect to the FMLA expanded paid sick leave, as well as, just the paid sick leave of COVID. Okay. And then there's also the employee retention credit. So Coronis Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, also known as the CARES Act, supports certain employers that operate a business during 2020, and you retain employees despite experiencing economic hardship. There then, of course, is a refundable tax credit. So if you've been consulting with your accountant, we've had clients, provide this information to us, and then we are adjusting the 941. Also with the FFCRA tax credits, we also have to take even additional time to review the 941, because the entries that are made, we want to tie that out to the tax deposits then that were actually made, to make sure that what is reported matches the return, to prevent really tax notices from all of this stuff. All right, which leads me then to our fees that we always pass along when we start doing year-end additions, things like that. So if you have a year-end addition, we charge a $25 base, and then per addition for each employee, we charge $5. If you delay past January 4th, when we hope to have this already all done, we do charge then a base of $200 for our time. And if you wait even longer after we've already reported everything, February 1st, we charge $300. We do on occasion have clients who want us to process things as a one-day processing turnaround. So our bank does charge us when we do transactions like that. So we will charge a $50 fee. In the very beginning of this presentation, I talked about possibly if you need to wire funds to us, if you have a very high, maybe bonuses or, Christmas payout, whatever you're paying to the employees. If your federal tax deposit is over 100,000, we definitely would prefer that you wire funds to us for that. If we need to do any W-2 or 1099 reprints, we charge $25 for that. You have access to this information. If you're on our Apex platform, that information is emailed to you. And if you're on your iSaw platform, you have access to that as well through your own portal. And of course, these are all being mailed out to your companies to hand out to employees. If we need to make a correction to the W-2, such as just the address is different, we're going to charge $50 to change that. And if there's an actual correction, such as something that needs to be now amended for the W-2, so we have to do a W-2C after February 1st, then we're going to charge $150. In the event, again, something has already been filed from year end, we do charge $175 to amend quarterly returns. And throughout these COVID adjustments and when we are reconciling the quarterly returns, we do charge $75. And when we are adding then this information to employees, we charge $5. And if you are also going to have employee retention credits and we need to make those adjustments to the 941, we also charge $75 for that too. Almost done here, everyone. So just a few resources that I do tend to heavily reference, definitely IRS and Social Security Administration. So I just wanted to make sure I provided that information to you as well. So I've mentioned this already throughout my presentation, but everyone will have this in your inbox, the year-end checklist or questionnaire. Please make sure that you fill that out. It will have a link for the survey to direct you to basically just click, 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 choose whatever you need to fill out, and it sends submit to us, and then we'll have that information. More than likely, this has gone to your spam. If you've not received it or you can't find it, you can contact your account manager, or just send me a message or call the office and say, hey, I didn't get that year-end questionnaire. We'd be more than happy to send that back out to you. Last little bit here for our larger clients. If you are an applicable large employer from the Affordable Care Act, you are required to report information to IRS about the healthcare coverage offered to your full-time employees. So we do offer this as a service to our clients. This just isn't a given that we do. This has to be a service that you have specifically asked that we do for you. So we do have some clients that we complete these returns and send to you. So you can hand out to your employees, which are the 1095s, and then submit the information on a 1094 to the IRS. So if this is a service that we provide to you, make sure that you send in your offer of coverages by January 8th. You are probably have been speaking to usually Beth about this. So if you've already been in communication with her, or if you haven't, please get that information over to you. And we will send those 1095s to your address on file. And then of course, you'll be responsible for handing out or postmarking those forms no later than January 31st. Since ACA reporting has been in place, they always extend these deadlines, but nothing has been announced yet in terms of it being later than January 31st. I think last year, I think it was like March 2nd, but that could obviously change. But for now, of course, we need to stick to the deadlines that's been provided. And then a couple resources for ACA on healthcare.gov, or of course the IRS's Q&A website. All right, so that's all that I have for today. I appreciate everyone joining. If you've got questions, please feel free to, send those over to me. Other than that, thank you everyone for joining, but I can hang on here for a couple minutes to see if anyone's got any questions. Thank you, Rick. All right, I'm not seeing any questions coming in, so I appreciate everyone attending today. Hope everyone enjoys the rest of the week. And hopefully everyone has a safe holiday season. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you, everyone.